Shri Satchidananda Satguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Those from whom instructions in the Vedas is acquired, as also the knowledge of the six Shastras, or those erudite ones who have explained the Vedant, are not considered as Sadgurus by the learned ones. He who has full knowledge of the Shastras is fully experienced and can give practical knowledge alone and is qualified to instruct the disciples. Such people are called as Sadgurus. He believes that the disciple is Punar Brahma and treats him as his own son. He does not expect anything from him for his maintenance. Such a Sadguru is the best in the world. He who is the abode of supreme peace has no pride of learning, does not distinguish between the young and the old, the rich and the poor, is the embodiment of the Sadguru. Such are generally the characteristics of a Sadguru, which the author Hemat Pant has compiled and narrated briefly for the listeners who have completely surrendered. You have become the invisible merging with the formless, but you act for the welfare of your devotees even after leaving the body. A Sadguru does not even in his dream expect any service or profit from his disciples. On the contrary, he wishes to serve them. He does not think that he is great and the disciple is small. Not only he loves him as his son but regards him equal to himself or as Brahma. The main characteristic of a Sadguru is that the abode of peace. He is never restless or ruffled. He has no pride of learning. The rich and the poor, the small and the great are same to him. He who has the abode of supreme peace is the embodiment of the Sadguru. How can I describe the power of love? Everything is insignificant before it. If there is no deep love, listening or reading is fruitless. In the wake of love follow devotion, dispassion, peace and contentment together with liberation and all its treasures. Love is not born without faith. Where there is faith, there is God. With faith, there is abundance of love, and it is only faith which means liberation. The Sai Satcharitra is as pure as the waters of the Ganga. He himself has adorned his stotra. Hemat is only the instrument. Listening to the Sai Satcharitra purifies the listeners and the narrator always. The merits and the sins are obliterated, and both attain salvation. The Sai Satcharitra is as pure as the waters of the Ganga. He himself adorned it. Hemat is the instrument. The listeners who hear it are the most fortunate, and so is the narrator. Blessed is the Shri Sai Stotra, and it is very purifying for the devotees. He who listens to the Charita with great faith and a pure mind will find all his desires fulfilled always. Whoever listens to the Satcharitram with supreme faith and reverence will attain devotion at Sai's feet immediately. Remembering Sai and serving at his feet with devotion brings the senses under control at one's will, and the ocean of existence is crossed easily. The narration of this Sai Satcharitra is like pure water for the devotees, who are like the Chatak birds. Listeners should meditate on it after hearing so that Shri Sai's grace is upon them. Here is a story of how faith placed at the feet of Sai in whatever one does brings benefit to the devotees. The experience of Advocate Tanekar, resident of Akalkot, you will be pleased. When he was studying law day and night, he met another student, Shivade, and they had mutual discussions. Other class fellows also came and they got together in one room. To judge the extent of their preparedness, they began asking questions to each other. This was done to ascertain the errors, if any, of the other and correct each other for their question and answers, or to remove doubts so that they would have peace of mind. Shivade made lot of errors answering the questions. So in the end, all the students wondered how he would pass the exam when his studies were inadequate. Though they ridiculed him, Shivade had full confidence that he would pass the exam at the right time, irrespective of whether he had adequately or inadequately studied. Even if I have not studied, my Sai Baba is there to ensure that I get through. Why should I worry? Hearing these words, Tanekar was surprised. Taking Shivade aside, he began questioning him. Oh, who is this Sai Baba, who you exalt so much, and in him who you have complete faith? Where does he reside? Then, in answer, Shivade told him everything about Sai and his own faith in him, very frankly and clearly. It is well known in Ahmednagar district there is a village called Shirdi. A fakir resides in the masjid who is famous and virtuous. There are saints in various places, but to have a good fortune to meet them is not possible unless one has considerable merit. Efforts on one's own part does not yield results. I have full faith on him. Whatever he says will happen, and whatever he utters will come true. There will never be any difference. No matter what efforts I make this year, I will not pass the exam. But next year, even without effort, I will pass. This is the truth, and there is nothing but the truth. I have his assurance. I have full faith in him because his words were never belied. I am sure of that. What's surprising about it? It will happen, and I will pass the next exam. Saptanekar found these words ridiculous and hollow. Since he was full of doubts, how could he appreciate those words? Anyway, Shivade left from there. Then after some time, Shivade's words proved to be true. He passed both the exams and Saptanekar was surprised. Balashimpi was with him with the photo in his hand. Giving it then Baba, he began entreating Baba, "Oh Lord, whose picture is in this?" Looking at it, Baba replied, pointing a finger at Saptanekar, "This photo is of his lover." Saying this, Baba laughed and the whole gathering were amused. "Baba, what is the secret behind this?" Bala asked Baba. At that moment, Baba told Saptanekar, "Take darshan, act quickly." When there were only 2 days left before his departure to Kashi, his wife had a vision, and their journey to Kashi did not materialize. When she was asleep in her bed, she had a dream she was carrying a water in pot and they were walking towards Ladaksha's well. There was a fakir there under a neem tree with a cloth tied around his head who came near me. She said, "Why do you unnecessarily take trouble?" The fakir in his sweet and tender voice said, "I will fill up your whole pot with pure water." She was frightened of the fakir. She took the way back home carrying the empty pot. The fakir followed her. Seeing such a dream, she woke up immediately and opened her eyes. Hearing his wife's dream, he decided to go to Shirdi. They left immediately and reached Shirdi the next day. As soon as they arrived, they went to the masjid. Baba was at Lendi at that time. They sat there till Baba returned, waiting for his arrival. Then, shortly thereafter, Baba returned. The woman saw the same figure that she had dreamt of to the last detail, and she was greatly surprised. And then she kept staring. After Baba's feet was washed, this woman went forward to take darshan. After prostrating at Sai Baba's feet, she sat down gazing at him. Noticing her humility, Sainath was pleased. "My stomach and hand, waist have been hurting severely since a long time. I am fed up of taking medicines as nothing gives relief. I am tired of taking medicines because they have no effect. But right now I am surprised to find that all these pains have disappeared suddenly." Such a story was narrated to a third person without mentioning the woman's name or indicating her. This was her story truly, and it was related to her. Later, after a month or two, as Baba described, she was relieved of pains, and then that was the realization which came to her. The woman's desires were fulfilled. No sooner than that, Saptanekar took this decision that his determination bore fruit. Becoming emotional, he fell at Baba's feet and held them. When he placed his head on his feet, Baba rested his hand on his head. Then Saptanekar began pressing his feet when the shepherd woman Dhangar came there. He said, "These feet are ancient. Your worries are over now. Have full faith on me. You will be fulfilled soon." Saptanekar was pressing Baba's feet when he heard these sweet words. He was choked with emotion and his eyes were filled with tears. He prostrated at Baba's feet. He was filled with the 8 sattvic emotions. His tears of joy in his eyes, with which he washed Baba's feet with love. Baba placed his hand on his head and said, "Stay peacefully without worry." Then Saptanekar left the place where he was staying and returned very happily. He prepared the Naivedya and handed it over to his wife. Then Puja Arti was done. The platter was offered to Baba. Water was sprinkled over it. All the rituals were done, like touching water to the eyes and saying the mantra, offering the food to all the elements, etc. And then it was offered to Baba. And then, following the usual custom, Baba touched it with his hand as a token of acceptance of the Naivedyam. When Sai is the avatar that bears witness to the unity of all beings, how can he differentiate? He himself is the whole universe. Hemad surrenders to Shri Sai. I encourage all Baba devotees to read the Sai Satcharitra every day and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.